Hello and welcome back to our introduction and guide to supported decision making. My name is Jonathan Martinez. I am the Senior Director for Law and Policy at the Burton Blatt Institute of Syracuse University. This session and the sessions to come are going to take us from theory to practice. In the previous sessions, we learned about what I call the whys of supported decision making, why supported decision making and self-determination are good things. Well, in this session and the sessions to come, we're going to be concentrating on the hows of supported decision-making, specific ways that we can implement supported decision-making and self-determination in a person's life to give them access to the increased benefits of increased self-determination. Let's talk about the first one, special education. Special education is the perfect place to begin teaching self-determination and begin teaching supported decision-making. Why? Well, up on your screen is the definition of the purpose of supported decision-making. Look at it. Look at the bold language. The whole point of special education is to prepare students for further education, further employment, and independent living. That means that the whole point of special ed is to get people ready to live independently, to get them ready to be self-determined. And that's why expert after expert has said that the ultimate goal of special education is self-determination, and that schools as a best practice should focus on building self-determination skills. And yet what we see time after time after time is that the number one referral source for guardianship, schools and teachers. A study I was a part of last year found that by far the most common source for referrals, that people who were advised to seek guardianship were asked, who advised you to seek it? Number one, far and away, teachers and school personnel, even though their obligation under the law is to prepare students for an independent life. So what we need to do to give people the best chance to be independent is to close down that on-ramp, to find another way for a student to learn to be self-determined, to make sure that students' curriculum includes self-determination and independent living skills. And there's time after time where that can be done. Everything from self-determination goals in an IEP. The student-led IEP is best practices, and it's a very easy concept to think about. The student sits at the head of the table. With the student around the table are teachers and professionals and educators and the student's parents and others, and they all work together to identify the best possible education plan for the student. In the student-led IEP, the student leads the meeting. The student introduces people, the student talks to people. As the student gets older, the student takes on more responsibility, so that the ultimate goal of the student-led IEP is for the people around the table to work with the student so that the student could decide his or her best educational plan. What does that sound like? Doesn't that sound like supported decision-making? Doesn't that sound like a laboratory of supported decision-making where the student is the person relying upon the advisors and they work together so that the student is able to make the best possible decision? Another way to close the on-ramp is in the most important part of education, in my opinion. The most important part of the special education process, the transition planning process. You see, you have a right to special education from age 3 to age 22. Transition planning under federal law starts at age 16 or earlier in some cases. The whole point of transition planning is to get you ready for life after school. So as I said, you've got 18 or 19 years of school. But once you graduate, you've got another 50 or 60 years of life. And the point of transition planning is to prepare the student for that. And once again, on your screen, we know what that's supposed to entail. This is the definition of what transition planning is supposed to include. It's supposed to be a coordinated set of activities that helps the student design and experience post-school living objectives and, when appropriate, acquisition of daily living skills. Ask yourself, what is a more important daily living skill than decision-making? What is more perfect to be included in transition planning than decision-making and self-determination? In fact, when parents come to me, and they often do, saying a teacher has recommended they seek guardianship, I recommend the parent ask one very important question to the school. If, now that my child is turning 18, you have decided that my child can't make decisions, what have you been doing for the last 2 years? Because transition planning was to start at 16. And if you thought there was any possibility that this student couldn't make decisions when this student was 16, you should have been, under transition planning, helping that student develop that daily living skill, reach an adult daily living objective so that the student could be prepared, like the law says, for further education, employment, and independent living. So the thing about transition is you've got at least 5 years. You've got all that time to set up the coordination of services, to work with the student, to develop decision-making skills, to make linkages to services in the community, from employment to independent living to medical care. All of those things can and should be done through transition services. You should access the instruction and related services to help with the acquisition of daily living skills, especially things like supported decision-making, which, as we have seen, is already a best practice through the student-led IEP. Thank you so much for your time. The next thing we're going to talk about in the next session are ways that supported decision-making can help in healthcare and in life planning. Hope to see you then.